Welcome to this conversation on Business Redefined. Just how heavy is school fees as a burden weighing on Kenyan households? According to data from the National Household Budget Survey, school fees is the second largest reason why families seek loans from commercial banks. The first is food and other subsistence needs at 38%. The second is school fees at 21%. And starting a business or investment comes a distant third at 15%. 55% of all the cash transfers received from the government to vulnerable households are reported to be dedicated towards education needs, in particular school fees. 38% of all the loans sourced from the savings and cooperative societies, that is SACCOs, are dedicated towards education needs and in particular school fees. It doesn't stop there. 30% of all the cash remittances received from outside the country into Kenya are reported to be used in school fees purposes. It is for this reason that the conversation on financial planning for your children's or dependents' education has gained credence in Kenya in the recent past. We sat down with Patricia Kihara from ICA Lion to kick off this conversation and just asking, how does one get started and what are some of the things you consider when you're venturing into the financial planning of your children's education?
Education planning and the cost of education sometimes gets so hard that some parents are really finding it so difficult to sort it out. But the question is, why plan for education? And planning here comes with finances. And the most important thing to start with is, why should we do financial planning? First is that finances are very personal. You are the only one who knows. You can lie to everyone, but as an individual, you already know, what's my finance position? That one you know. Then we also look at our graphs in life. And this one advises how to progress with it. Where do I focus on? And with the graph of life, we have 0 to 20 years. That is a time that we are depending on many people for our upkeep. Maybe to pay our education, provide clothing, and even shelter. And then and that is the same time that most of people are in school. Then after that is 20 to 60, where we are doing a lot of earning. We are using the skills that we have got from our education sector. All these skills that you have put together is what you are using to earn an income. So you are earning, spending, and sometimes people save. That is 20 to 60. Then after 60, some of us are transitioning either to retirement or even to start a new hobby that may even give them some income. So it therefore means for this education planning, the people who are doing it are people who are 20 and above.
In 2018, Financial Sector Deepening conducted a study focusing on the education sector and particularly on the subject of school fees. The study revealed that 60% of all school fees is paid in installments, a third of which is paid on a monthly basis. The remainder is paid whenever the parents or their guardians have the money. So what avenues exist for people to be able to undertake financial planning for their children or dependents' education? What asset classes can you consider when you are having this consideration in mind?
There are many things that you need to consider. You consider, when do you start planning? If I am a parent and I have a student in Form 4 and I want to provide for tertiary education, do I have enough time? It therefore means that I either have a lump sum to take care, because there's no time from transitioning from Form 4 to tertiary education, maybe campus. It is just within the year. What kind of savings do you have? So there's some, the interventions that you'll take are dependent on the time. It could be money market that gives the interest, or it could be the government board. So there are many things that you're going to explore so that you know which vehicle that you'll use. Sometimes you may even want to have a mixture of them so that you take advantage of the various and also mitigate upon risks. Whether it's the bonds, whether it's the shares, even lands, people can even buy that. You can even put up some rental houses to be earning income. Others will go to the insurance. The only thing about a human being is that we are just excited when things are working out well. If the shares do well, we'll talk about them. If they don't, we start saying that something went wrong. And that's where the issue is, the risk profile of an individual is very, very important. Truth be told, no one puts in money wishing to lose it. Even those who will say that their risk appetite is very high. The moment they lose money, they feel very good. So when you are deciding where you want to identify whether I'm going to go through the putting up some rental houses, whether I'm going to buy land, whether it's bonds and shares, or even the insurance, it is always good because each vehicle has advantages and disadvantages. Your profile risk is also very, very key, and also the time that you have to provide for this. Just as we said, it is important to take into account the number of years that you have before your child goes to the school where you want to start drawing. Because if it's short-term money market, someone who is Form 4 right now, or Form 2, Form 3 there, they have less than 3 years before they get to university. There are others who want to have reared government board. It is also another important vehicle. So you can have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It is important that you even are aware of that there are very many vehicles that are available for us to consider to take care of education planning. When do I want this money? What course am I looking at? Which colleges are they going to? Those are the things that are going to determine.
So now that we have this information, the next question is, ideally, when does one start financial planning for their children or dependents' education? And is there such a thing as one being too late to start?
The beautiful thing is to start. The fact that you have identified, it is beautiful to start. If I'm 50 years today, how old are my children? Because of the changes in the marketplace, if I may say that, some of us are starting getting children very late. You might even find that I am at 50 with a child who is 5 years, and 10 years from now they will be 15. That's the time I'll be retiring. It means that they're transitioning to junior secondary school or whatever college, depending on what education system they take. So it is not late. The only thing is that for them, because of the number of years, they'll be required to pay a little bit more to get the benefits that they would have gotten if they were younger. You can still catch up. And money is personal, as I've said. Finances issues are very, very personalized. You do not know why I never did. And to avoid panic, because those are some of the things that can make someone panic, and you can even get into depression. Just sit, analyze the various options that there are, and what is going to give you better results and by when. So no one is late.
Business Redefined takes a short break. We shall be right back with a lot more on this conversation on financial planning for your children or dependents' education. Stay tuned. We're joined by Patricia Kihara from ICA Lion. I began the second part by asking her, now that the cost of education is escalating, how does one ensure the investment they are making remains ahead of the curve as far as costs are concerned?
The truth is, money is very personal. Can I afford? I would want to pay 100,000 every month for my insurance. You may want to do 200,000, but you cannot afford that. So it is dependent on many other things other than just saying this. The only challenge I have seen in the marketplace is that because of lack of knowledge, someone will take insurance so that they do away with Patricia, who is the agent who is calling. I'm calling you, and because you don't want me to keep calling you, you decide, no, let me give her a policy of 5,000. I request everyone to sit down and create enough time to go through the various options that are there, and also check, if I'm not there, will these funds that I have put together be enough for taking care of the children education? So we can never say it is 10,000. We cannot say it is 10%, because it's 10% of what? The time, the cost, and where still come back to the same. And at the same time, you'll also ask yourself, what do I have? We could, the 5 of us in this room, be earning 500,000, but my needs are different. I could be taking care of my parents. You could be taking care of your siblings. So it is dependent on the same thing. When, where are we going to take this, and what can I afford?
I've received many questions regarding what are the issues you should look at when you are considering an education policies. What are the do's and don'ts, and what should be in the fine print of that contract that you're signing? I put this question to Patricia Kihara.
At the point where you'd want to engage in an education, planning a policy, what you need is to understand the various things. What are the benefits? So that your emergencies, your lack of planning does not become an emergency for other people. So the benefits must be looked into. The main item when you get into an insurance organization and looking for an education policy is that to be aware that what you're paying today, what we call premium, you are purchasing a benefit called sum assured. This capital benefit is what you are exchanging with your premium. If you lost a job and this is a contract, every contract has bits of what your responsibilities are, and as a policy holder, your responsibility is to ensure that you are paying every single month or every year, depending on what term that you chose, the mode of premium payment that you chose. The frequency, is it monthly, is it annually? But what we have noted over years, someone may lose a job or something can affect your finances. How then do you go through that? In case there is that gap, we allow you at the point when your finances are okay, you can come in and clear the arrears, or you do a push of the day that you wanted your policy to mature. Maybe you have not paid for 6 months because of maybe lack of job or something just happened. At that particular time, you're not on cover. So when you come back, you push your maturity date by 6 more months. We call that redate. So there are a lot of reorganization that we do. We also allow surrenders. We also allow things that we call paid up, and this is to allow your policy. Right now, if it has got to the 3rd year, it has acquired this kind of cash value, it will run until the end of the term. But we really encourage, because the reason as to why you wanted this education policy is your son, he's still there. That need has not changed. We keep asking you to work day after day, push yourself to make sure that this is provided for. And that's what makes us go back to what are the reasons as to why you are planning for education, the reason for education. If it is still clear, you will push yourself further to ensure that this one is taken care of. But in the unfortunate bit, there are those options of taking the loan. You can surrender the policy where you ask for cash value, cash that is available after the valuation is done, that is after the 3rd year. And you may also want to have a redate. Yeah, pushing the maturity date by a number of months or years that you've not paid. One thing that we need to look at is that for people who've not planned, what happens? They make their failure to be an emergency on someone else. You could be having some siblings, I could be having some, all. And we know in our neighborhood, all our friends who never did this, and every time there's school fees, they are running, give me this. We end up being liars, because you don't want to say that you are borrowing money for school fees. Then we also end up digging deeper graves for our finances, because I have not planned, so I go looking for loans again. It could be even the unconventional child businesses and all that. I end up paying a lot of money. And the other thing that we also need to be careful about is that we just sign papers because we want to do away with the person who is selling. Maybe it's your brother who is dealing with shares, and because they have been insisting that you do this, you just want to sign papers and then you just tick the box. I am having shares for 50,000 or something. Anyone calling you, I deal with my brother who works in this and this organization. And then Patricia calls you, you take an insurance, because you don't want to hear that call again. You just sign 5,000. Anyone coming to tell you, let's sit down and plan for this, you tell them that I have a financial advisor by the name Patricia. So it's like you are locking yourself. You don't want people to get you using other people. It is true you have done it, but you have not done it really deeply. The other aspect is that as of not checking, when do I want this money? Then the other issue is that we have these customers who tell agents, sign here, sign here, sign here. Because they feel like they don't want, this is a bother. You are asking money from me, and at the same time you want me to start signing things. So because of trusting me a lot, you may want to tell me to sign, and you want to do away with these things. It's not a nice thing to remove money every month. You have to know the reasons. And signing that you don't even really know what you signed for, and later on someone come and say, this is not what I was buying. So it is important that even when you are purchasing, because it's one of the pitfalls, please sit down and get to know exactly what you're buying. Yeah, don't leave everything else to the agent. There are some good ones that we have in the marketplace. Others may take advantage, and it happens even in the media. I believe that all these things, yeah. Let's remove the income. And what are the reasons that an income can be removed from you? It could be death. So if I had just put some 20,000 in another vehicle and I'm not there, my income has been removed either because I become disabled or maybe I have passed on. The only thing available to my family is 10,000 or the 20 that I have just put in. And those are some of the things that we need to be very, very careful about. That over and above me being late in court is that if me being the breadwinner, I'm not able to continue putting this money, what would happen? And that's why income repressor is a big, big thing that we need to consider. You can decide to have a little bit of this, something that is going to allow you to liquidate very fast, and also to ensure that you also have a life policy on the side.
And that takes us to the close of our conversation on Business Redefined, where we have delved into the subject of financial preparation for your children's education. Stay tuned to Business Redefined for more conversations on issues of financial literacy.